Hi, my name is Ken Colby. I'm the author of Laser Photo Wizard. Today I'd like to discuss the exciting features of our new version 12. Now the first feature you'll notice is that we've changed the user interface. We split conversion methods from dithering method. So just for a little vocabulary, a dithering method is the ability to take a black and white photo that has gray in it and change that gray into a series of dots. If it's a light gray, the dots will be far apart. If it's dark or black gray, the dots will be right together. So most methods use some form of dithering to go to the laser, because the laser can only do black and white, on and off, burn or don't burn. Okay, so let's talk about our conversion methods now. The first conversion method is none. And obviously this is not going to be very good to send to a laser because it's not all black or all white. The next one is black and white. This also won't be, it's not a good idea to send to a laser, because what it'll do is it'll take some parts of it and engrave it and other parts leave white. And but what it is good for is to help you adjust your settings on the conversion methods. So we have these color conversion methods, and also smart contrast, so you can make that stronger or none. It's kind of up to you. I think a little bit of mild contrast really helps, particularly on wood, which is low contrast, but again, it's up to you. We also notice that we don't actually convert a black and white photo to equal blue, green, and red, because our eyes see these things a little differently. So normally a black and white conversion has more red and green in it than blue. Okay, so the first conversion method is sketch. Now you notice the dithering methods went off. And that's because sketch creates a pure black and white image on its own. It doesn't need to be dithered. It's basically finding the edges of the image and drawing it. Now the good thing about this sketch method is that it creates something that can be engraved on almost anything. It can be high contrast material like plexiglass, or a low contrast material like wood. But either way, it'll do pretty much about the best that medium can do. So it's particularly good for low quality or inexpensive lasers that don't have a lot of control over their power, or a super small dot size. The next one is what we call smooth sketch. Now what this does is it takes the sketch and then it smooths it out using a smoothing algorithm. This gives you smoother lines and sort of an artistic effect. It doesn't really look that great on this particular photo, but you should try it in other photos. For example, have a picture of an eagle that it really makes it look great. The third method is sketch and dither. This kind of combines it. It combines a dithered black and white photo with the edges, so it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. But this one also, when you dither a photo, you have to be very careful of your power settings. Too much power and the grayscale won't show up. Not enough power, or too much power, and everything will be just black. So to combat that, we have sort of a new method that's sort of in between the other two methods. I call it dithered gray. So unlike the sketch method, which is actually making a decision to be all black or all white, this dithers the image, or this looks at the edges of the image, but it creates a grayscale. The grayscale is then dithered. This is actually my favorite new method. I use it a lot because it makes really nice images on almost any material, and I hope hope you'll like it as much as I do. Now the Colby dot migration, of course, is a little slow, but probably the best method for using with this. The last, of course, is photo. So photo method, it takes the gray and white, black and white photo that has a grayscale and dithers it completely. Now this will give you your nicest output. However, the problem is you have to be very precise about your laser settings. And even if you get them right, the next piece of wood, for example, might be slightly different. But we have a lot of things to help make dithered photos work. We have this smart contrast, which adds a little contrast to the photo. We can manipulate the amount of colors, and I'm sorry. We can change the amount of. We can change how the conversion treats the red, green, and blue portions of the image. So, for example, if we want the face a little lighter, we can pump up the black and white a little bit. Okay, things like that. So we do have control over it. The other things that we can do, well, okay, we can do one of three things. Once we have the photo ready to go, we can send it to a laser. In my case, I have several, but if we go to the Trotec, for example, this is the Trotec printer. Okay, so if your laser is an Epson or a Trotec or a universal laser, you'll have a printer driver that can be used in Windows. So that's obviously the best way to do it. But if you don't have a printer driver, you may have a G-code, like some of the G-code lasers. So I wrote a decode driver, and you can select your port and then basically set your power ratings and your baud rate, and away you go. So it has speed and power for the dithered part, and also has speed and power for the vector side. Okay. So how do we get vectors in here anyways? Well, one of the things it's very simple and quite helpful is you can go to Effects and Frame and just click Square, for example. And I already have by default used this frame as an output. And what that'll do is after it recomputes everything, it puts a vector around the whole image to cut it. Okay. So that's basically what's new in the interface. I think the only other thing is if you go to advanced settings now, things are grayed out if they don't make sense for what conversion you pick. So all this has to do is Sketch, so it's all grayed out. But if we go back to Sketch, go to advanced settings, you can see we have, like, for example, the despeckle and the amount of smoothing we'll do to kind of protect things. So one of the things, you can turn this despeckle way up, and it gets rid of all the small chunks. So you can see it makes a very clean picture, but loses some detail. If you turn it completely off, then, well, in this case it didn't do so much, but let's kick up the contrast. See, it starts getting all these little dots. So that's what despeckle does. Gets rid of all the little dots. There you go. So anyways, that's the some of the basics. We also have adjustments where you can change the exposure and fix highlights and do a bunch of other things. You can scale your photo, you can change the colors, and you can rotate it. Okay. We also have an editor, so let's go back to our dithered gray, for example. If we use mild with dithered gray, you see it puts a bunch of things in here. And there's a couple different ways we can get that out, but just so we can show off the editor for a second. You can go in with the editor and just erase that stuff. Oh, not going to spend a lot of time on that, but actually I kind of made a mistake. I got rid of a chunk of the guy. So anyways, you can basically do what you want with the editor. Now if you change anything, those edits will be lost. So for example, if you move it, it's going to recompute the dithering. So you're going to have to re-edit it. So editing should be the last thing you do before you're about to print. Now I said there's other ways to get rid of this stuff on a face. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean editor. I meant to go to Effects, Smooth. So what this does is this computes the skin color and then tries to soften that skin color. And you can see it got rid of a lot of those artifacts and still kept everything else pretty much the way it was. So the last thing we want to do perhaps is save the files, and if we save it, we just give it a name, and it's actually going to save it in four or five different formats. It saves as a JPEG, an SVG file, a meta file, and a bitmap. The reason for BMP is it saves an exact rendering of the dots. So depending on what your laser program needs, those file formats are available. Now I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about generators. The generators are basically programs that create vector cutting outlines to create things. Now so far we have a box generator that'll create boxes, a birdhouse generator, obviously for birdhouses, and a very slick connected text generator, which I'll talk about. Now each one of these generators I'm going to make a separate video on, so because there's a lot of settings and things. But I'd like to give you just a short overview. So if we start with the box generator, in version 12 we have a new interface for it where we create the top or the bottom or a cube, which obviously is top and a bottom attached together. I'd like to show you some examples of the output from the box generator. Okay, so we could have created this box with the old box generator. It's basically just a thin birch plywood on top of a walnut plywood. But if you notice, there's these wavy little lines, okay? And what they do, show you the next one, is they basically make what I would call a hingeless box. So basically, these waves prevent the box from sliding left to right, and these waves keep it from going up and down. So basically, when you put the top on, it falls into place and pretty much locks in place so that you can shake it and the top won't fall off. So I think this is a great design because it doesn't require any hinges and it doesn't really look, weird with some big, round thing on the back or something. So why get rid of hinges? Well, personally, I've always found hinges to be kind of a problem. The wood's very thin, so you have to use really tiny screws or glue them. And they just, I don't know, they're just difficult to put on. So I wanted to try to come up with something that didn't require any hinges. And I think when you try this box, you'll be pleased. Now another, not really an innovation, well, here's another showing you the sine wave. I call it the wave for obvious reasons. Another box, and we use the wave on this one too, is similar, but just to tell you a technique, you can indent the top of the box, and once you indent it, then you can fill it with a picture. You can put in a picture, and then you can pour in epoxy. The problem is I've done this before, and the epoxy just leaks out all over the place, and it's a big mess. So what I've come up with now is you can use a clear silicone gel, kind of like the stuff you use to seal bathtubs, and let it dry, then glue the photo in, then pour the epoxy, and it works great. And you can make a lot of really stunning boxes of all different shapes and sizes. The next box is, I really didn't come up with this, but I saw them all over the internet, are basically these lanterns. And with Laser Photo Wizard, you can create the box and then get a pattern and then load it as an image and convert that image into a vector file, and that'll create all the cuts you need. So here's another example. So those are just a couple examples of the kinds of boxes you can do. You can also do T boxes. You can, in fact, I have a T box in the end here somewhere. I'll show you. Here's a T box. So the T box actually, again, uses a different kind of top, indented, and only attached on the sides. So these make really nice gifts, and Laser Photo Wizard will create the box and the little dividers on the inside. Okay, so let's take a look at the software. So you can see the new box generator splits it into three types of boxes. A cube, which I use for the lantern, a box top, which is the top of the box, and you can click if you want and add the new wave pattern to the top. And if you want to do the epoxy, you can indent the top. When you do the bottom, of course, you need a matching wave pattern, but you don't need any indentations. Okay, and then you just hit create box, and away you go. Okay, we also have something else new, and that is you can specify the output that the box is going to go on. So if it's really large like this, you can probably put the whole box on. And I've written some algorithms to load the box after it's been created. Well, first of all, it takes the box or the image size, and then takes all the box parts and tries to fit them together to all fit in a box. It's called a nesting algorithm. Anyways, it saves a lot of time because in version 11 you had to load each part of the box separately. Now you can just create a box and load it. Okay, so that's the box generator. And like I say, I'll do separate tutorials on the various kinds of boxes and how to make them, and what the issues are. The Birdhouse generator can create traditional flat roof or tapered bottom boxes or birdhouses. I can show you a few of those, I think. Let's see. Yeah. So here's like a flat roof one, tapered, and traditional. Now, if you notice, there's not the little wooden dowel. Everything I read about Birdhouse has said that the wooden dowel was actually a problem for birds, so I made that optional. Anyways, I created this for my kids so that they could paint birdhouses, and it was a fun project, and hopefully you'll get some enjoyment. And if you're a bird person, you'll create a birdhouse just for the kind of birds in your neighborhood. Last is a connected text generator, and again I can show you some of the output of this. So the standard is to just, it creates a base and you put your letters on it. Here's a little fancier one with a little bit of an outline added to it. And here you can expand this edging on each letter, and you can expand it so much that the whole thing can just be connected. The other thing you can do is you can create a base that's bigger than you need just to connect the text, and you can write something on there. Anyways, I've used this a lot for birthdays, celebrations, anniversaries, and things like that. So I've gotten a lot of fun use out of it. I hope you will too. So that's connected text. Now, I told you that something was new in version 11. Let me see if I can find one I did before. So we go to Documents, Green Screen Wizard, and here's the output. So we're going to do a box output. Just box one. And you can see you could load, in the past you had to load these all individually, but now you can just load the job, and that'll change this up, and takes a few seconds to load. There it is. So you can see it loaded all the parts of the box that were necessary. So that's really a huge advantage over the way we used to have to load each individual thing separately and try to find a space for it. The nesting algorithm's good. It's not perfect, but I think it'll save you a ton of time making boxes. Anyways, that's it for version 12. I hope you like it. We've lowered the price of the product so that people that just want to do boxes or connected text, it's a good value at only $49. We'll see how that plays. Anyways, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you try Laser Photo Wizard. We have a free demo. Unfortunately, with the free demo, you cannot save and load these boxes anymore, but you can run the box generator if you like. So once again, thank you, and we hope you enjoy Laser Photo Wizard.